much of what the previous speakers have said ring true for the indigenous people of North and South America. I am a testament to survival of 500 years of genocide on this land that many of us have benefited from. I'm going to dedicate my talk today to the ancestors, because if they hadn't survived, I wouldn't be here today. And when we speak our language, even if it's only one word, even if it's not perfect, our ancestors hear us. Tagwe itunu kena atiano, Yurumein Arawak, daka diri Claudia Fox Tree. Kauai daka tiana, Kauai daka tiana, Kauai daka tiana, Kauai daka tiana. Bomatom Tarigua, Bomatom Karea, Bomatom Atabe, Bomatom Guabanse, Bomatom Uatu, Nito Kakuhu. Good day, sisters and brothers. My ancestral lineage is Arawak from the island that we called Yurumein, and my name is Claudia Fox Tree. I'm happy to be here, and I said that 4 times to honor the 4 directions. I offer my deep appreciation to the celestial cosmos, the universe. I offer deep appreciation to the moon. I offer deep appreciation to the Earth Mother, who is our existence. I offer deep appreciation to the air, the lady which gives breath from the center. Sometimes she gets mad and gets known as the hurricane. I offer deep appreciation for fire, and water is life. It has sacred breath. I'm going to be speaking on my own experience, but also the experience of people who are like me, who share the same historical trauma and struggle of being indigenous people whose ancestors first figured out what they could eat on this land, what they could use for homes on this land and for clothing on this land, and who held the bones of every single one of our ancestors. It's important to recognize that this land that we're standing on is indigenous land. The Wampanoag, the Nipmuc, and other Massachusetts nations first walked, lived, and named everything on this land that they called Shawmut and we call Boston. While my nation, the Arawak, isn't from here, I've been embraced by the local indigenous people, and we have shared history and culture as first contact experiences. I wanted to, I'm so glad that you did the pastor's piece, because I was thinking of that as I was preparing my notes for today. And how is it reflective of indigenous people? And so here it is. First they came for the land. Then they took our bodies to work the plantations and pan for gold. Then they took our food source, retooling the land for the invasive plants and animals, later slaughtering the buffalo. Then they took our religion and forced Christianity on us. Then they took our children until 1978, and now our children continue to be taken and put into foster care. Then they took our language by not allowing us to speak it. Then they took our lives. The term final solution was not coined by the Nazis. It was the Indian Affairs Superintendent Duncan Campbell Scott from Canada. Then they took our women, who were raped, murdered, and disappearing at alarming rates. They are murdered over 10 times the national average and raped at 2.5 times the average. Then they took our image for sports teams, for butter and milk products, to sell cornstarch, and so much more. Then they took the rest of our culture by appropriating parts of our language and pieces of our culture. Our words are no longer associated with their original meanings. Think of these words: Winnebago, Sequoia, Pontiac, and Apache. By taking our clothing and using it for costumes on Halloween, we become a single story via a single image. By taking our headdresses, our own warriors are mocked after earning each feather. That would be like taking the medals that servicemen win are awarded to and wearing them as a costume. I wear my regalia today as a visual representation that we are not one single story, that we have a lot of diversity among all of the nations that are represented in the indigenous Americas. What they couldn't take by physical and cultural genocide, they took by paper genocide. For example, in the Caribbean, the first census that was taken had the category of Indian. The next census only had mulatto. But we've survived. Even though 90% of all the manuscripts written about Native people are authored by non-Native writers, our schools teach almost nothing about treaties, land rights, and water rights. There's nothing about the fact that tribes and nations are still fighting to be recognized and determine sovereignty. Only 67% of mixed-blood, multiracial Native Americans finish high school, compared to the national average of 80%. Indigenous youth have a suicide rate of 3 times that of their peers, males 8 times greater. Indigenous people face issues of mass incarceration and policing and are the most likely minority to be killed by police per capita. The federal government is still stripping Indigenous people of their land. Exploitation of natural resources threatens not only Indigenous communities, but all of us. Indigenous patients receive inadequate health care. We continue to protest pipelines running through land, protect national parks, and fight for enforcement of treaty rights. But we are taking action, reclaiming our history, people, and culture, reclaiming our images through our own artists, resisting and being noticed like at Standing Rock, teaching our culture to the next generation, staying active on social media and participating in Indigenous tribal organizations, and relearning our native languages. And we can't do it alone. We need the help of our allies. If you have a town that has a Indigenous Native American mascot, say something. If you play against colonials as another team, then you celebrate the destruction of our culture. Tell 5 people today, before you forget, that you care about damaging racist mascots and how they're affecting Indigenous populations. If your alma mater has a mascot, write a letter. Tell them you won't make any contributions until they change their mascot. Instead, donate to an organization such as the National Congress of American Indian, or join MCNA, the Massachusetts Center for Native American Awareness. With your help, we can help the tribes fighting to be recognized in today's battles for land rights, water rights, and against stereotyping. Hahom Sano Kakana. Thank you and abundant blessings.